Hi everyone, this is Lady Vintage Bags here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. And you can see here today we're doing something really different. We're doing a cook with me video, and today we're making Coach Greg's Special K Banana Crunch Chocolate Protein Bar. Now, who is Coach Greg? So Coach Greg is a YouTube personality, and he's also an IFBB pro, and he's got a cookbook called the Anabolic Cookbook 2.0, which is where this recipe is from. So I recommend you head over to his channel if you want to learn a lot about healthy eating and how to make high protein meals which help keep you satiated and satisfied but not overstuffed and prevents you from feeling hungry or starving during the day. I recommend you listen to some of his videos. So he is a bodybuilding pro, and you do have a lot to learn from him in terms of how to eat and ways to train effectively. If you can get past what sounds like him screaming at the video, you'll actually realize that he does have a lot of really good solid content. So I've been on a bit of a fitness and weight loss journey for the last 12 months, so since January 2020. I've been trying to lose the approximate 10 kilos I gained in 2019. So I'm 7 kilos down, and I'm learning to eat in a sustainable manner in a way that I really enjoy, because I really like to enjoy food and I don't want to feel like I'm starving all the time. So I found that the recipes in his cookbooks help me to achieve that. So let's get started, shall we? So these Special K Banana Crunch Chocolate Protein Bars, in the recipe it does have some ingredients that I wasn't able to source, so I'll just show you what I substitute it with. So the first ingredient is supposed to be 350 ml of IMO or Vitafiber syrup. So I couldn't get any of that from any website. So what I did find instead was some Natvia chocolate sauce, and it was 315 ml of that. So this sauce is really hard to get out of the bottle, which is why I pre-measured it for this video. You will need a spoon to help, or you have to shake very rigorously to get it out of the bottle. And the first step is to microwave this for 30 seconds or until slight bubbles form. So I'm just going to pour my 315 ml into my mixing bowl. Okay, so you can see there are some bubbles on the top. So the second ingredient I'm going to measure is 7 scoops of protein. So I keep my protein in this pop top container here, and I'll be using the gold standard Optimum nutrition whey protein in the chocolate flavor, and we need 7 scoops. Now his recipe says either 7 scoops or 230 grams. 1 scoop of this brand is actually only 30.4 grams. So 7 scoops is just going to be shy of that 230 grams. So I'm just going to do 7 scoops. Now Greg's next step is to add all the remaining ingredients into the bowl and then mix till you get a doughy consistency. But I actually just like to mix the chocolate sauce and the protein powder individually first to get a doughy consistent mix, then to add the other ingredients. Now be careful when mixing so you don't accidentally spill the protein powder out of the bowl, which is what I just did. So now I've got a little bit less anabolic in my protein bar because it's on the table. So as you can see, the consistency changing here looks like a doughy cake mix. So just be sure to make sure you do mix all the powder in there. Sometimes the powder gets stuck to the sides of the bowls. You do want a nice consistent mix. Okay, so the next ingredient I'm going to measure is 110 grams of Special K cereal. So I'm just going to zero my scale there. Okay. Now the next ingredient is either 2 ripe bananas, which I don't have, so I'm just going to use frozen banana instead. So this banana is from the Creative Gourmet frozen range of frozen fruits, and I used 14 pieces to equal to 2 ripe bananas, or 175 grams. And so I'm just going to smush this with my potato masher. So now I'm adding the banana to the mix. So this is where I deviate from Coach Greg's recipe a little bit. So I also like to have some diced up frozen coconut. So this is also from the Creative Gourmet frozen fruits mix. Because coconut is high in calories, or it's calorie dense, I only use 25 grams of frozen coconut. And I also deviate from Coach Greg's recipe by adding 2 tablespoons of the P2B peanut butter powder, because peanut butter and banana are a really nice combination for me. So because I am adding extra ingredients, I do have to take that into account in the final calorie count per bar. You can even taste it here as well. That's pretty yummy. Now I'm going to be using silicone molds to freeze my bars. So these are frozen protein bars, not baked protein bars. So I've got some mini loaf silicone tray and also a mini muffin silicone tray. So I'm going to fill up the mini loaf silicone tray first. Because it's silicone, you don't need to use baking paper or spray oil. You can if you want to, but it's not necessary. Okay, so here's my filled up mini loaf tray. So I've got 6 big bars, which I'll then cut in half to make 12 smaller bars. And then plus I've got 3 of the mini muffin sizes. So that's about 15 serves altogether that I'm going to get. They're not all equal in size, because one of these mini ones is not really equal to half of these, but it's approximately 15 serves altogether. So I'm going to place this in the freezer. So on Coach Greg's recipe, it says place in the freezer for about an hour, and then bring it out and let it get down to room temperature for about 5 minutes, and then chop it up, and then wrap them up in baking paper as individual bars. So my personal preference is that I like them to be really hard before I bring it out and chop it up and wrap them in baking paper, because I've noticed that if they're too soft and you wrap them in baking paper, when you do bring them out to eat later, the baking paper is sort of fused into the bar and it makes it harder to peel the paper off. So I'm actually going to leave these overnight. Okay everyone, so we're back. So this is the next morning and the bars have been freezing in the freezer overnight. So this is what they look like. So when they're really hard, they're not too tacky to touch. So when you touch them, it doesn't leave much residue on your fingers. And 2 of these mini ones already got eaten overnight. So we're down to only 13 bars right now. So what I'm going to do is just pop them out of these silicone trays, and I'm going to cut them in half. And I'm going to start wrapping them in my baking paper, and I'm going to be storing them in the freezer in this silicone Ziploc bag. So as you can see here with these silicone trays, it's really easy to pop them out, and this is considering I did not use any spray oil as well. Okay, so it's up to you what size you want to chop these bars into. So I usually chop these in half, and I usually chop them long ways, but it's up to you. You can make them quarters, you can make them into little cubes, you can just leave them like this. It's all entirely up to your serving size. So this is the type of size that I get. So just a thin bar, and this is what it looks like in the cross section of the bar. You can see the Special K, you can see the coconut pieces in there. So this bar is relatively easy to cut through the center, even though it's been frozen overnight. I think just because of the nature of the sauce, it's still quite easy to cut through. And I haven't even had the bars out of the freezer for that long. Okay, so I've got my baking paper just cut up into thick strips like that. So I'm just going to start wrapping the bars, and then just with my scissors, you can make it really pretty and cut the excess on the edges, but I don't really care. So I'm just going to store them in this little silicone Ziploc bag. So unfortunately I wasn't able to get a whole batch in there. I've still got 3-4 pieces left. So I'm just going to put the rest in a second silicone Ziploc bag. So when you go to eat these, all you have to do is just take it out of the bag and just unwrap it from the baking paper. You may want to wait a minute or two, leaving it at room temperature before starting to bite into it, because sometimes it is really hard. So this has been out for a couple of minutes now, so this is ready for eating. See how easy that was to bite into? And that's what it's like when you leave it out for a couple of minutes. If you like really cold, rock solid food, feel free to eat it straight away out of the freezer. I'm going to go put these in the freezer now. So even though this is a frozen bar and it's cold like ice cream, that Special K gives it like a chewy texture. So it's like a protein bar, but like an ice cream bar at the same time. So let's do a final calorie count for the batch. So according to Greg's recipe, his recipe produces a batch that's 2230 calories, 2230 calories. And with the ingredients that I use, the batch worked out to be 1680 calories. And I think the reason why mine has such reduced calories is because of the sauce I use. It was only 6 calories per 20 mils. So I think that was a really good winner in terms of a good product to find locally. And for a batch of 15 bars, that works out to be 108.4 calories per bar. Whereas for Greg's recipe, it's 148.7 calories per bar. So it is a really good light snack that helps to keep you satiated and also satisfied as well. If you're after something like a chocolate ice cream or chocolate froyo bar, it's a really good alternative without blowing your calories. So head over to gregdoucette.com, look at his Anabolic Cookbook 2.0, and head over to his YouTube channel where you can see him do lots of videos, and you actually can watch him making some of the recipes from his cookbook as well. And he's got step-by-step instructions in those videos. And also head over to his Instagram page too, where he does post a lot of good content. I'll leave the links in the description down below. I'll also link all the products that I used and all the ingredients that I used down below as well. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and hit subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll never miss every time I put up an upload. Bye.